this computer. Recording is on. So did you have any other quiz so far?
Today we don't have any quiz, but tomorrow we have a quiz on time series.
Time series, what is happening?
Time series now, sir. Sir just completed the trend estimation and eliminating the trend, also seasonal estimation and how to eliminate the seasonal component.
So you have a lot of quizzes there?
No, in time series analysis, this is the first, and in simulation, this is the third.
Oh, good. So now you upload the solutions or you go for a MCQ?
MCQ based.
MCQ?
MCQ based, sir.
And you don't copy between yourself?
No, sir. No, sir. We don't copy.
Difficult to believe, but I trust you. Say that nobody is doing it, that would be too much to believe. Some of you may be really getting into it. So my exams don't try to do that because I need to answer scripts which you match. Both will not be graded. So the time, it's already there. So good morning to all of you and welcome you to this session, which is a tutorial session. So last time we discussed problems in assignment number 1. We can discuss anything you want. So feel free to ask any doubts.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, in scale invariance problem, so then when you are constructing mod of xn to the power b into delta x1 by mod of xn, then you converting that into x1 by mod xn, and you told that if we know the sign of xn, then the expression should be simpler, means x1 by, then we can write x1 by xn, x2 by xn in
No.
that term.
So what I said was your MRE should be a function of xn and some function of x1 upon mod xn, x2 upon mod xn, xn minus 1 upon mod xn, right? And xn upon mod.
Yes, sir.
I said if you take this as a vector, x1 upon mod xn, x2 upon mod xn, xn minus 1 upon mod xn, and xn upon mod xn. This is a one-to-one function of x1 upon xn, x2 upon xn, xn minus 1 upon xn, and xn upon mod xn. Both are one-to-one function. So when I say that u is a function of x1 upon mod xn, xn minus 1 upon mod xn, and xn upon mod xn, that is equivalent to saying that it is a function of x1 upon xn, x2 upon xn, xn minus 1 upon xn, and xn upon mod xn, right? Because both are one-to-one functions. So if you say that u is a function of x1 upon mod xn, x2 upon mod xn, xn minus 1 upon mod xn, and xn upon mod xn, that is equivalent to saying that it is a function of x1 upon xn, xn minus 1 upon xn, and xn upon mod xn. that okay? That is what
Okay, sir.
I'm saying. You can say the same thing in two ways, but I prefer it writing down this as a function of saying that it is a function of x1 upon xn, xn minus 1 upon xn, and xn upon mod xn. Right? Because I don't have to carry mod of xn in the first n minus 1 coordinates. That is an advantage. Is that okay? You see, when you say, for example, x and x plus c are one-to-one function, right? Let us say x and x plus 1 are one-to-one. I define x plus 1 to be a new variable y, right? Then I say that u is a function of x or u is a function of y. They are same, right? U is a function of x or u is a function of x plus 3, right? Because
yes,
that is what is exactly happening over there. Because x1 upon xn, xn minus 1 upon xn, and xn upon mod xn is a one-to-one function of x1 upon mod xn, xn minus 1 upon mod xn, and xn upon mod xn. So that is why whether you say it is a function of that or the other one, the both are equivalent.
okay, sir. Yeah.
So for example, in general, when you say u is a function of theta, you cannot say that u is a function of theta square.
No.
Right? But,
Yes,
if theta is positive,
yes,
it's positive, then theta and theta square are one-to-one function.
yes.
Whether you say u is a function of theta or u is a function of theta square, they are equivalent.
Oh,
But if your domain is whole of R, then you cannot say so. Okay? But saying that u is a function of theta or u is a function of e to power theta, both are equivalent, right? Because theta and e to power theta are one-to-one. Is that okay?
Okay.
Because if you know theta, you can determine e theta uniquely. If you know e theta, you can determine the theta uniquely. So saying that u is a function of theta is equivalent to saying that u is a function of e to power theta. Is that okay? Because they are one-to-one. Yes, any other doubt?
Sir, in the problem, so how do we choose delta naught x?
So delta naught x, you see, normally you use by your intuition, right? First of all, it should be a function of if you can make it a function of a complete sufficient statistic, that you must do, because that makes your life very simple.
Yes, sir.
Then you don't have to deal with a conditional expectation.
Conditional.
Now then, delta naught you would like to use, which is a location, scale, or affine invariant estimator, right? So depending on the problem you are considering, if it is a location family, you would like to use it as a location invariant estimator. That is important. In the scale case, it should be scale invariant. And in the affine, so normally what you do is you try to see using your intuition what should be a natural estimator of the parameter. For example, if normal theta 1 you are considering and you are estimating theta, what should be a natural choice of delta naught? Delta naught should be one reasonable estimator of theta, which is a function of a complete sufficient statistic. So x bar looks like a natural choice. You can use summation xi also, doesn't matter. All these are location invariant because delta naught of x1 plus c, x2 plus c, xn plus c is same as delta naught of x1, x2, xn plus c. Now let us look at if it is uniform theta minus sigma and theta plus sigma. Right? If it is a family uniform theta minus sigma and theta plus sigma, but you are interested only in estimation of theta, what you would like to choose?
X order 1 plus x order n by 2.
X1 plus xn by 2. Why? Because you would expect xn would be near theta plus sigma. You see, because x1, x2, xn are ordered. So when n is large and xi's are uniformly distributed, you would expect xn to be near theta plus sigma. And you would expect x1, smallest order statistic, to be near x1, theta minus
sigma.
What is the mean of the two theta minus sigma and theta plus sigma?
Theta.
So you would expect that x1 plus xn by 2 would be near theta. Right? So that gives a nature. But if you consider sigma, estimation of a scale parameter sigma, what should be the natural choice of delta naught?
Xn minus x1 by 2.
Yeah, xn minus x1 also you can consider, there is no problem. And why? Because if you look at the range of the distribution range of distribution is theta plus sigma minus theta minus sigma, which is 2 sigma.
2 sigma.
Right? So it looks like 2 sigma gives you the range of the distribution. So what I do is range of the distribution, how does it get reflected in the data? The sample range. What is the sample range? Xn, largest order statistic, minus smallest order statistic. Right? And you can see that this is scale invariant. When you apply C, it becomes times
Scaling.
So that's normally you use by your intuition. The only thing you have to make sure is it should be, depending on the problem you are considering, it should be the location invariant or scale invariant or affine invariant. Is that okay?
Sir, in case of the complete sufficient statistics does not exist.
So then things
that
can be difficult. So I gave one example, for example, uniform theta minus half.
Theta plus half.
Theta plus half. Complete sufficient statistic does not exist. So if loss function was squared error, there is not a problem because I have a very nice form of MRI in the squared error loss function, right? Which is minus infinity to infinity t times f of x1 minus t, xn minus t,
Minus t.
by
Divided by.
calculate that, right? That is not a problem. But general loss function, there could be a problem. So this problem, for example, try this. This is a challenging problem. If for general loss function W, you have to consider. So I have given, I think, a problem which says, prove that if W is convex and even, then x1 plus xn by 2 is the MRI. Is that okay? So that is slightly involved. If you want, I can do it. I can explain it to you today. You want me to explain that problem to you?
Sir?
Yes.
Sir, in that question, I think W is given that it is convex.
So W is given convex and even.
Yes, sir.
Right. So how do you prove that it is a MRI?
So, sir, if W is convex, we can use the direct formula of
Which
delta star whole integration t into f x1 minus t dot f xn minus t divided by integration of.
No, that is not for a convex. That is only for a squared error.
Oh, yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
That is not for a general convex. So as I said, for squared error, you can use that. No problem. And when you do it, you will get x1 plus xn by 2. Okay. But what is being asked in that question is, even if you have a general convex loss function and W of t is same as W of minus t, then also x1 plus xn by 2 would be the MRE. That is what the question is.
Sir, and in the case of squared error loss function, so the range of t is always minus infinity to infinity, or we have to determine.
No, you see, when you're talking about squared error?
Yes.
No, so let us look at the uniform case, right?
Yes, sir.
You see, the way you should approach problem is very systematically. The first thing is you have to make sure whether it is in a location family or a scale family or a affine family. Uniform theta minus half and theta plus half, what is its PDF? 1.
1.
If each xi lies between theta minus half to theta plus half, which is equivalent to saying that 1 if xi minus theta lies between minus half to plus half. Is that each xi? So that means your joint density is of the type f of x1 minus theta, xn minus theta, right? x1 minus theta, x2 minus theta, xn minus theta, where what is f of t? Where what is f of t1, t2, tn? Because you have written down it as a
1 when ti is between minus half to half.
So 1 if each ti is between minus half to half, right? Because x1 minus theta gets replaced by t. So under squared error loss function, what is your MRI? Minus infinity to infinity. Range has to be minus infinity to infinity. T f of x1 minus t, xn minus t dt. Denominator same thing, minus infinity without t. Now you have to see this f is 0 at a lot of places. So this range is determined where f is positive. Because that is where it is 1. See, either it is 1 or 0. So I see where it is 1. I replace it by 1 and I see the range. Where it is a 1? It is 1 if each argument is between minus half to half.
Minus half to.
That means xi minus t is between minus half to half. Then it is 1. So that means t is between xn minus half. Sorry, xn plus half to x1 minus half, right? Xi minus t, you see, xi minus t lies between minus half to half. What does that mean? That means minimum of x1, x2, xn is greater than t minus half.
Minus half.
Right? T minus half. Or t is less than or equal to minimum of plus half. Right? So the range of t from here comes out to be t greater than or equal to maximum of xn minus half and less than or equal to minimum of x1 plus
X1 plus half.
Right? So now that integral, the range becomes xn minus half to x1 plus half. Because ft is 1 only when otherwise it is 0. So initially integration was from minus infinity to infinity t, but f is positive, which is 1 only when t lies between xn minus half to x1 plus half. So that you put over there. T dt divided by xn minus half to x1 plus half dt. That is the estimator, which turns out to be x1 plus xn by 2. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
So the range will come through the range of PDF. In this case, I realized that PDF f, which you see, is 0 at a lot of places. It is 1 only when each xi minus t lies between minus half to half. And what is the integrating variable t? So you have to see what is the range of t in terms of a data. So xi minus t lies between x1 minus half to x1 plus half is equivalent to saying that t lies between largest order statistics minus half to smallest order statistics plus half. And then you integrated t dt divided by that and you get x1 plus xn. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, any other?
So here in this case, t is a natural variable, or is it xn?
No, xn is given to be a data. You see, what does it says? If you have observed a data, your estimator should be based on a data. Right? So the MRE which you get should be based on a data. So it says if your data is x1, x2, xn, MRE is what? Minus infinity to infinity, t f of x1 minus t, x2 minus t, xn minus t dt. x1, x2, xn you don't integrate. You integrate t. In the PDF, you write down f of x1 minus t, x2 minus t, xn minus t, put t along with it, minus infinity to infinity, t f of x1 minus t, xn minus t dt. Denominator don't put t, integrate it with respect to t. So data has to be there, x1, x2, xn, because your estimator has to be a function of x1, x2, xn. Okay.
Yes. So can you give some idea about how to choose the delta naught x when complete sufficient statistics does not exist?
So that I gave, uniform theta minus sigma and theta plus sigma I gave. So you have to use your intuition how to choose that. For example, theta minus half to theta plus half, I gave a intuition that first of all, you have to see it is a location family that we saw. Then we saw that theta is somewhere the middle of theta minus half to theta plus half. So that means the sample I see where it is should be the middle. X1 is the extreme one on the left side, xn is the extreme on the right side. So I should consider x1 plus xn by 2 as a natural estimator of theta. No, complete sufficient statistic in this case doesn't exist, so it doesn't help me much. But you can still sell so that it is, so you'll have to deal with the conditional PDF in this case. If you want, so what was your question? Can you repeat it so that I can answer it more precisely?
Sir, my question is how to choose delta naught x so that the calculation will be simpler.
Any complete sufficient statistic function of complete sufficient statistic.
No, when the complete sufficient statistic does not exist.
No, then there is no squared error loss function. There is a nice formula. Otherwise, there is no panacea or global medicine, which I say that it's like a coronavirus then, right? Means you don't have a vaccine which I apply and then you can deal with all the situations. Right? So one has to then analyze which one is easier. So for example, even uniform theta minus half to theta plus half, you will see that choosing x1 plus xn by 2 is a natural, but then proving that it is MRI may be difficult.
Yes, sir.
You want me to prove, you want me to show that how it is MRI?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Uniform theta minus half, theta plus half? Okay.
Yes, sir. Question 4.
Yeah, let me see if I can share screen. So can you see the screen now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So question 4, this one, right? x1, x2, xn be IID uniform theta minus half, theta plus half?
Yes, sir.
find MRE of theta under group of transformations, which is additive group of transformation. First of all, if this W was given to be squared error, you can find it out. I just explained.
Yes, sir.
Right? Because we saw that MRI would be nothing but integral from xn minus half to x1 plus half t dt divided by xn minus half to x1 plus half dt. Is that okay? So squared error, there is no problem. It is only when you have a general loss function, you have to deal with it. So let me. So you see, I started adventuring something, because in this case, uniform theta minus half to theta plus half, I know that smallest and larger are not complete sufficient. But they are complete sufficient in the theta minus sigma to theta plus sigma. Is that okay? So they are complete sufficient in a larger family. So larger family, what is the ancillary statistic? W1, W2, Wn minus 1, because x1 minus xn upon xn minus 1 minus. So here I was trying to explore or trying to play a trick. Can I say that although x1, xn and d are not ancillary, because d is not ancillary in this case, in the original case. In this case, x1, xn by 2 is not even complete sufficient. But what I do is I look at a larger family, uniform mu minus sigma and mu plus sigma. Their x1, xn is complete sufficient because there are two parameters mu and sigma. So it would be independent of any ancillary statistic.
Yes.
But their di is not ancillary because x1 minus xn, its distribution would depend on sigma. It will not depend on mu, but it will depend on sigma. But if I divide these di's by dn's, then it will become ancillary because sigma would also get cancelled. wi's are ancillary.
Yes, sir.
So that means uniform mu minus sigma, mu plus sigma model, x1, xn and w are ancillary. So even in small, if in the larger model two random variables are independent, smaller model also they will be independent. So what I know is in uniform theta minus half to theta plus half, although x1, xn and d are not independent, but x1, xn and w are independent. That we know.
Yes.
Right? It follows from the larger family. So I was trying to play a trick. Can I write down this W, D in terms of, can I write down this conditional PDF in terms of a W and play around? I said that may not be possible. If it was, because about the DN, last one in the W I know only its sign and do not know anything else. So D and W are not one-one function. If they were one-to-one function, I could have written this event in terms of a W. And then I could have used the independence of x1, xn and W, things would have been simple. But still, I feel there should be some way you can exploit W. So that is the reason I left it. So I say see next page, because I could not write down this event as a one-to-one function of a W. Because if I was able to do that, then things would have been as usual, no problem. So what I do is, so first of all, it is a location family that is we have seen because f of x1 minus theta xn. So what I take is delta naught as x1 plus xn by 2. And I told you what is a motivation for taking x1 plus xn by 2.
Yes.
Right. So I first see whether it is location invariant or not. For location invariant, what would happen is delta naught of x1 plus c, xn plus c should be same as delta naught of x plus c. Right. So I see delta of x1 plus c, xn plus c. It is a minimum of x1 plus c, xn plus c. C is common to all of them. So it is same as minimum of x1, x2, xn plus c. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Plus then maximum of x1 plus c, x2 plus c, xn plus c. C is again common. So that is same as maximum of x1, x2, xn plus c. And that is what I have written down. Xn plus c. Right? When you have applied x1 plus c, x2 plus c, xn. So what it happens? It becomes x1 plus xn by 2, 2c by 2, which is c. So which is delta naught x plus c. So it is a location invariant. Right? So what is MRE by that result? X1 plus xn by 2 minus u star d, where for every fixed d, u star d minimizes this conditional expectation. Now here my problem is this d and x1, xn are not independent. Right? That is the main problem, because D and I cannot use Basu's theorem over here. In fact, they are not independent. But what I know is W is even. So if I can show that psi 0 is always greater than or equal to
I see.
psi of u for any u, I have done.
Yes, sir.
But psi 0, if you remember, what I had done was psi 0 is same as psi of u plus minus u by 2.
Yes, sir.
This
Psi is convex.
convex function of this. So this will always be greater than or equal to half of psi u plus psi of minus u.
Yes, sir.
So if psi of u is same as psi of minus u, psi of u is same as psi of minus u,
It would become psi u
and
only.
again u is equal to 0 will give you a minimum, right?
Yes, sir.
Is that okay? So the only thing I need to show is, can I say that psi of u is same as psi of minus u? Now note that what I know is w is even. So this is same as minus x1 plus xn by 2
Plus u.
given d is equal to d. So if I can show that distribution of minus x1 plus xn by 2 given d is equal to d is same as distribution of x1 plus xn by 2 given d is equal to d, I am done. Right? So everything amounts to showing that distribution of minus x1 plus xn by 2 is same as given d is equal to d conditional distribution, because I have to deal with the conditional distribution over here. Is same as distribution of x1 plus x2 plus xn by 2. So I try, first I think is I try to write down all this in terms of d's. Is that okay? Now d is given to be d. Capital D is given to be small d in this conditional expectation. Is that okay? In this
Yes, sir.
conditional expectation, d is given to be d. What does that mean? That means xi minus xn is same as small di for I is equal to 1 to n minus 1. Because capital Di is nothing but xi minus xn. Small di is small di. I is equal to 1. That means xi is same as di plus xn for I is equal to 1 to n minus 1. And what is xn? 0 plus xn. Xn I can always write down as 0 plus xn. So I have to see what is the minimum of x1, x2, xn, which is x smallest order cells. This would be same as minimum of d1 plus xn, d2 plus xn, dn minus 1 xn, and 0 plus xn. Is that okay? Xn is common, so that will come outside this plus xn, and then minimum of d1, d2, dn minus 1, 0 plus xn. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Similarly, xn would be maximum of d1, d2, dn minus 1, 0 plus xn.
Plus x.
So let me call them as d1 star and dn star. So what is my d1 star? Minimum of d1, d2, dn minus 1, 0, and this is this. So d1, d2, dn minus 1 and d1 star and dn star depend only on d's. So what does this becomes? This becomes d1 star plus xn, dn star plus xn, xn is 2xn, that becomes divided by 2 will become xn, and it becomes d1 star plus dn star by 2 plus xn minus u given d is equal to 2. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
So now things have become very simpler, because now everything is in terms of a conditional distribution of xn given x1 minus xn, x2 minus xn, and xn minus 1. So I have to see what happens at theta is equal to 0. At theta is equal to 0, each xi is uniform minus half to half. So that means distribution is symmetric about 0. If you write f of t as f of minus t, still you get the same PDF. So what I try to do is, I try to see what is the PDF of xn given d is equal to d. PDF of x1 given d is equal to d. That is the conditional PDF you are dealing with over here. PDF of xn given
Equal to
d. So it would be f of, so when you do that, what do you have to do? x1 minus xn is same as x, in d, when you try to, first you try to find out, so you can see that this PDF is nothing but f of d1 plus t, dn minus 1 t, t divided by, these are marginal of all that d. Is that okay? So the PDF turns out to be this. So I try to see what is the conditional PDF of d1 star plus dn star by 2 plus xn given d is equal to d, because that is what you have to do over here. Conditional PDF of this given d is equal to d. So first I find conditional PDF of xn given d is equal to d, which is very simple from your first course in statistics. you know the joint PDF of x1, x2, xn, right? So what you do is, first you find out the joint PDF of d1, d2,
D1,
dn
D2,
minus 1 and xn. d1,
Yeah.
dn minus 1 and xn. d1, d2, dn minus 1 xn is this PDF.
Hmm.
So conditional would be proportional to this.
Hmm.
Because conditional is always proportional to joint, right? And what is the proportionality constant? You integrate it out. That is a marginal of the conditional one, d1, d2, dn minus 1. So that means integrate out the xn variable. Minus dt of d1 plus u, dn minus 1. So this is the PDF. So I find out what is the PDF of d1 star plus dn star by 2 plus xn. So the conditional PDF of y d1 star plus dn star by 2 plus xn, you can find it out from here. When you put it over here, you get as this PDF. Right? Now you can see h dt same as hd of minus t. Because when you put minus t over here, t goes over here, it becomes half minus half plus dn minus 1 ds star by 2. And this goes over. So hd y becomes distribution as same as minus y given d is equal to. So it was y minus u, distribution of y given d is equal to d becomes distribution of minus y given d. So that means the minimum would be at u is equal to
0.
0 by the same argument we used in the normal case. Is that okay?
Yes.
So you could see, you could still prove it, but then here you have to deal only with the conditional distribution. But idea was exactly same, right? You had to show that distribution of whatever is coming inside the W, it is symmetric in some sense. And that is what I have proved. If distribution of y is same as distribution of y minus y given d is equal to d, then psi u was expected value of y minus u, which is same as expected value of w of minus y minus u given d is equal to d. Why? Because y given d is equal to d has the same distribution as minus y given d is equal to d, which is same as w of, because w is even, so w of y plus u given d is equal to d. That means psi u of u is same as psi of minus u. That means psi is convex, psi of u is same as psi of minus u. So psi would be minimized at u is equal to 0, which gives you x1 plus xn by 2 as your error. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'll stop sharing this for the time being. Is this clear to everyone? Anybody has doubt?
Yes.
Yes, sir, it is clear.
So it's you must have seen that whole analysis is simple, except that you have to find the conditional PDF. And conditional PDF you find out in BSc. Now here it is very simple because it is a uniform density. The density is always turning out to be constant, except that range you have to be little bit careful, which would be in terms of minimum, maximum, and all that. Is that okay? So what you could see over here is not only for squared error loss function, for any loss function which is convex and even, x1 plus xn by 2 is minimum risk invariant distribution. Okay? So let me just stop here. Yes, any other doubt?
Sir, in that question, can we say directly that a convex function, which is also a even function, is minimum at 0? We don't need to prove this. We can just say it directly.
No, how can you say convex function and?
A convex function, which is also a even function, is always minimum at 0.
That is what I am saying. No? So that is what that is a direct result because
Okay.
Because you see, if psi is convex, right? Psi is convex, then psi 0 is for any u, psi 0 is same as u plus minus u by 2. Right?
Yes, sir.
0 is same as u plus minus u by 2. And psi is convex. Psi is convex, that means psi of alpha x plus 1 minus alpha x would be less than or equal to alpha times psi x plus 1 minus alpha times psi y. Here alpha is half. Because half times x plus half times minus x. So this would always be less than or equal to half times psi of 0 plus half times psi of minus 0. Sorry, half times psi of u plus half times psi of minus u. But psi of minus u is same as psi of u.
Yes, sir.
So which is same as psi of u. So what you have proved? If psi is convex, then psi of 0 is less than or equal to psi of u for every u.
Yes, sir.
Now note that here, in fact, you don't need even convexity. What you need is for any x and y, psi of x plus y by 2 is less than or equal to half times psi x plus half times psi y. You don't need it for every alpha, psi of alpha x plus 1.
Yes.
So you need much weaker condition for minimum to be at 0. But that's okay. For convex function, it always happens. Yes, any other doubt?
Sir, in case we cannot prove this this event function, then how to proceed in that case?
Yeah, so then it becomes a difficult problem. Each case, as I said, there is no universal vaccine which I can apply. So every case has to be dealt with separately.
Okay, sir.
Right? So for example, one example I think I gave double exponential, right?
Yes, sir.
You see there, even if we know that what is a complete sufficient statistic in the double exponential?
1 by summation mod x.
No. Double exponential is in the location one. That means e power minus mod of x minus theta. These are all whole order statistics, x1, x2, xn.
Oh, yes.
So it doesn't help me over there, right? So for finding it out. But loss function is given to be squared error, so I could simplify it a little bit and find it out MRI. Yes, any other doubt you have?
Sir?
Yeah.
So what will be the syllabus for first quiz?
First quiz will be up to assignment 2. Location and scale. Is that okay? Yes, any other doubt? Have you tried assignment problems? How many
Yes,
of
sir.
you? Huh?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
How many of you have tried assignment problems?
But sir, I did it up to only 4. Question 4 only.
So today I see only 15 students, right? Now you are roughly 40, right?
14.
So 25 are missing, right? Please convey to your friends. You see, in my past experience has been, because this is your third semester, right? Now, if some of them who are not regular flunk this course, they may land up in crisis. And they would keep running from pillar to post. Please offer a course in the summer. That would never happen. Because they are responsible for messing up their life. If you mess up your life, why should anybody else help you? So please, if you are friends to them, if you are their well-wishers, convey to them. I'm telling it in a very explicit terms. I'll pass it on to the head of department as well. Look, I'm devoting a lot of time in my efforts so that you could learn something. But even after that, if you want to mess up your life, you're most welcome to do that. In fact, I would help you in messing up your life if you want. So please convey it to them. All right? Okay, any doubts you have? See, I will be monitoring all these online activities. So if they feel that they can get away with it, and I've told, even if they max out and they have not achieved the minimum threshold in these online activities, they may get an F. That is a part of course policy which I declared right in the very first lecture. Yes, any doubts, further doubts you have? Feel free to ask. This 15 includes me and Rahul, who are not a part of this course. So basically only 13 are there. So 1/3.
Sir, regarding to online participation, sir, I have watched your videos on MOOCit, but in my personal details, it is showing that I haven't watched whole week 4. Oh, sorry, week 3.
No, so what are you saying that? No, so I understand some of you may not be watching the videos as such, from the Mookit platform. When
No,
you
sir. I'm watching it from only Mookit platform because
so
now the video quality
can you
has
send
just.
can you send it to the Mookit team? I have given you a helpline number over there. You just drop an
Okay,
email to them. That is what.
okay, okay, sir. Okay.
So some of you may be watching in your YouTube, right? So those records may not come, but YouTube itself gives its record. It may not give individual names, but it certainly gives you how much the videos have been watched. So then there has to be consistency between your Facebook, my Facebook records, and these online discussions and online tutorials which I am having. All right. Yeah. Any other doubt? Feel free to ask anything under the sky. However,
Sir,
yeah.
in case while figuring out that MRI, we were trying delta star, that minus infinity, 0 to infinity t to the power n plus b minus 1 divided by, into that f divided by t to the power n plus 2b minus 1 into f dt. Now, in case while solving out that one, if the means what to say, the function does not look means too much good. If we leave like that, would it be okay? Means instead of going into too much complexities, we leave it at some kind of integral form only and leave it there.
So you will get partial marks certainly. So which
Okay.
problem you are talking about? The double exponential one?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that is slightly getting it in a final form is slightly complicated. You'll have few marks for the final form, but then you'll have a lot of form in getting the exact form of the MRI.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yes, any other doubt anybody has? Please feel free. You can ask anything from notes. So which course you are finding to be most difficult in this semester? Yeah?
Sir, inference 2.
Huh?
Sir, inference 2.
No, it's more demanding or more difficult?
Sir, both.
Huh?
It is difficult or and it also needs a lot of time to invest.
Yeah, but sorry, I'm here for a job to do. The way you are here to do a job. So we have to do our jobs. I'm doing mine, and I expect that you do yours. But if I'm unfair, you are free to, if I'm unfair at any point of time, you're most welcome to point it out and let me know.
Nothing
sir.
like that, sir. Actually, it is because means all of the videos lecture are coming at one day. Suppose you upload it one day, the very next day another teacher uploads it, so we get kind of frantic that who to complete first and how to complete it within that week. So that's why
No, so
it's
you see,
demanding.
I'll tell you a way out the way. So one has to. I'm just digressing a little bit from the discussion of tutorial. So you see, each of your course has a certain credit, right? Now, credit represents that how many of hours you are supposed to spend for that course, right? For example, my course is of 11 credits. 9 plus 2. So what it says is three are lectures and 1 is tutorial. What is expected is for every hour of lecture, you're supposed to spend 2 hours at home, right? So that means I have 3 lectures. So you're supposed to spend 6 hours at home every week. And for every 1 hour of tutorial, you have to spend 1 hour at home. So I have 1 tutorial, so you spend 1 hour at home. So that means you are supposed to spend 7 hours per week in my course. So you have 5 courses, so roughly 5 courses of 11 units credits, you are supposed to spend 35. Now these 35 are for average students. A very good student might need 25 hours. A slightly weaker student might need 45 hours. Okay. But 35 is an average. Now this is non-negotiable if you are an average student. So that means you sit down, make a timetable, and write down these 35 hours somewhere, apart from your regular lectures. Now, this is something expected from you. If you are trying to run away from this, certainly there is nobody who can help you.
That's right.
Right? So you have to understand this is a very well-defined model, and you have to fit yourself within that model. And if you're not able to do that, certainly there will be problems, right? So I don't see much of, so what you do is you make a timetable, see that this hour to this hour is for this course. Now note that in this case, watching videos certainly is not coming into the picture, because out of 7 hours, how many courses? 11 credits. So out of 11 hours, only 2 hours you are spending with me face to face. So essentially you have 9 hours. Out of those 9 hours, you're supposed to watch 3 hours of video, right? So you have to spend 3 hours of a video. So you say, by every course I have to, in a week, 3 hours I have to keep for watching videos. Keep those remaining 4 hours, again going back to the videos and seeing, clarifying your doubts, doing some assignment problems, and so on. So that is how I would suggest that try to make a timetable like that. If you're systematic, it would certainly help you out. Otherwise, I can understand that if all of a sudden comes, you don't have a timetable, you feel that now I have to do this also, I have to do this also. So make a timetable.
Thank you.
Yes, any other doubts you have?
Sir, hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, if the loss function, if we consider that as an absolute error, means mod of delta x minus theta.
Right.
So then in that case, can we consider that the estimator should be near about, if we consider that near about median?
Right.
So that is that help?
So certainly, you see, whenever minimization comes, you know that expected value of x minus a is minimum when a is the median of x, median of distribution of x. So that fact, if you can use while doing the minimization, certainly you can do it. For example, in the location case, if absolute error loss is function is this thing and delta naught is a complete sufficient statistic, then you know that MRE is delta naught minus u, where u minimizes expected value of modulus of delta naught minus u, because at theta is equal to 0, there is no theta.
Yes.
Certainly this u has to be the median of the distribution of delta naught. That's all. Right? For example, in the normal case, if in the normal case, if you have to find absolute error loss is there, normal theta 1, let us look at. Is that okay? The location family. Right? So complete sufficient statistic is x bar.
Yes.
Right? So I try to find out a suitable estimator which is location invariant for theta. I can take x bar only. It's a function of a complete sufficient statistic. So what is MRE? X bar minus u, where u minimizes expected value at theta is equal to 0 of mod of x bar minus u. But you know that mean deviation about point is minimum when that point is median.
Yes.
So that means this u, minimizing u, you know is going to be the median of distribution of x bar, because expected value of x bar minus mu is coming in the modulus. Right? So what is the distribution of x bar under theta is equal to 0? Normal 0, 1 by n?
Yes.
And what is the median of a normal 0, 1 by n? What is the median of a normal 0 distribution? Or what is the distribution of, what is the median of normal mu sigma square? Arey Baba, this is BSc question. I mean, you must have done mean, median, mode, all coincide. You must have done it at least 1,000 times, right? In your BSc for normal distribution.
Yes.
But it is a symmetric distribution.
0.
Yes.
For normal distribution, mean, median, mode, all coincide.
Yes.
0.
So it is 0. So you can directly say that even for absolute error, in the normal case, X bar is MRI.
Okay, sir.
In fact, you have already proved for a much general loss function. You have proved that if W is convex and even, then X bar would be MRI in the normal case, right? You have proved that, right? By the
Yes,
same-
yes.
And what is the modulus function? Here W2 is modulus of T. What is WT modulus of T? Is it a convex function? It is a convex
Yes,
function
sir.
because
Yes, sir.
it goes,
Yes, sir.
everything is above the curve. Any chord is above the curve. So W2 is equal to modulus T is a convex function. It is even also. W of minus T is same as W of T. So it follows from that general result also. It follows from directly also. Is it okay?
Okay, sir.
Yes. But here it was easier because distribution was symmetric. X bar distribution was symmetric. In the exponential case, for example, if you consider e to power minus x minus theta, that is one of the problems. Then what is MRE? Expected value of mod. So you would use delta naught to be minimum of x1, x2, xn, because in the exponential minus x minus theta, minimum is the complete sufficient stress.
Yes,
So
sir.
one is modulus of. So what you have to minimize is mod of x1 minus u. Theta is 0 because here in location case g bar acts transitively on theta, so risk is constant. So it is expected value of modulus of x1 minus u. So again, u would be the median of distribution of smallest order statistic when x1 is 0, theta is 0. What is the distribution of, what is the PDF of a smallest order statistic? E to power minus nt. If there was a sigma, e to power minus nt, minimum is again exponential.
Yes, yes.
PDF is e to power minus nt. So u would be what? U would be nothing but median of this distribution. That means a point u star would be nothing but such that 0 to infinity u star e to power minus nt dt is half. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
So I think we are running out of time. I can have a quick question if you have.
Sir, in the question 3rd of assignment 3, sir,
Assignment.
how-
Assignment.
yes, sir, assignment 2.
Right.
Sir, how can I choose that W function?
What is that? Let me say. Question number 3 you're talking about, right?
Yes, sir.
Let me just quickly. Assignment 2. Problem 3, right?
Yes, sir.
So it is exponential one, right? So this W, you see, W he has chosen, W is given to you, right?
Sir, loss function is given to me.
So loss function is what?
Sir, 1 for...
Just I am coming to that. So loss function is given to be L theta of I t to infinity mod of theta minus a. So that means this is 1 if theta minus a is greater than t, 0 otherwise.
Less than t, yes.
So what it says is my loss is either 1 or 0, nothing in between. Loss is 1, that means I have a more loss if the difference between theta and a is greater than t, where t is a given constant to me. So if difference between theta and a, my xn and actual theta which I want to estimate is greater than t, then my loss is 1. If distance is less than or equal to t, I say I don't lose anything. My estimate is okay. So that is what this loss function is saying. Now in the location case, you know your problem is invariant if your loss function is of the type w of a minus theta. Right? So this is nothing but w of a minus theta. Is that okay?
I can take itself as a W function.
No. Your loss function has to be of that type, w of a minus theta for some w. You can take any w. As long as you can write down your loss function as w of a minus theta for any w. Your problem is invariant.
Yes.
Now here what is happening? I'm able to write down it as a w of a minus theta.
A minus theta, yes, sir.
What is my w of a? It is indicated t to infinity mod of a.
Mod of a.
So that means it is 1 if mod of a is greater than or equal to t, 0 if mod of a is less than t. That is what my W is.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Because my problem would be invariant only when loss is of the type W of A minus theta. I could not have written the here as theta by A or A by theta. Because then my problem doesn't become invariant. It has to be a function of A minus theta only. It is a function of A minus theta because T is given to you. So if you want another session before the quiz, I can have it. Do you want another one? Another session? Or is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
Another
Yes, sir.
When do you want? Sundays can we have?
Sunday evening.
Sunday evening, 4 o'clock?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So we'll have it at 4 on Sunday. And so what I'll do is try to do these assignments. I will upload the assignments after the tutorial on Sunday. Is that okay? Before that, try to do, because if I upload the assignments right away, then there will be a tendency that you may not like to attempt those questions, and then you may not learn anything. So then if I change the question in the exam, then you may not be able to solve it. So it's better that first you try off your own. After Sunday's tutorial, I'll upload both the assignments, solutions of assignment 1 as well as assignment. Is that okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay, bye. So Sunday at 4, we'll see again. Thank
Sir,
you.
one suggestion.
Yeah.
Can you separately keep the videos of problem solving assignment, that videos? Can you keep in a separate part?
Arey Baba, you see, I am not a technical person. I am myself, the way you are struggling with this online business, I am struggling more than you. Every day I have to deal with so many business. I wish I could do that.
Okay, sir.
So are you finding difficulty in locating it? I have put the titles. Does that make difficult? So what is?
No, sir. The ordering is.
I am not able to do it. That's what the problem is. This is.
Oh, okay, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, I put it week 1, week 2. I think if I give a title the same, week 1, week 2, week 3, then that has a disadvantage that it will only give you week 1. What is there in the week 1, you will not be able to locate.
Yes, sir.
I think this is one of the weaknesses of the MOOCIT platform. That I'm not able to arrange them. I can't order them as per my wish. It orders as per his or her own wish. So I don't know if there is any other way. You tell me. I tried to do that. I could not.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
I will try to explore if that is possible. I'll do that because all video lectures occur at one place only. There is no other way because resources I can only put. I'll see if there is a place in the resources for uploading the videos. Then possibly what I can do is these discussion hours and tutorials I can upload in the resources section also. It will be available both the places. So I'll check that if that is possible. I'll try to upload in the resources section. Is that okay?
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.